So it's gotta be recording before you,
All right, it's on.
You're live?
Yeah.
So should we get the Facebook Live for questions and stuff, or?
they can type in, there's a way that they can,
Oh, did you activate that?
I can, yeah.
Let's
It's
activate
the
that,
public.
and then that way they have the ability,
Okay.
whatever, to communicate to us. You good to go?
Yep.
Oh, I was waiting on you.
Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so, got a phone call yesterday from Doug Reed. He had an agenda item that he wanted to make sure he got on there. I just asked that, given the setup that Doug had, he said that Garfield was the final decision authority on this as far as these funds go. But so before we get into that, I guess I'll need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried on that one. Okay, so like I said, back to line item for the COVID expenditures. I don't have the document in front of me. Do you guys have an agenda?
You need, I was gonna say, you can have
I
one.
think the dollar, yeah, okay, so $250,000 was what was asked from Doug Reed to be put into an account, and from my understanding, this account would be so that if there was a resource need that we had, that we wouldn't have to wait for the state money in order to get that resource. So essentially, say we gotta spend $100,000 on something, and we know the state's gonna pay for it, we don't have to wait a week for it. Instead of just be able to action. Garfield would be the approval authority on it to make sure that, it's not being misused, or it is indeed gonna be a reimbursed fee or something. And then, from my understanding, those funds would more or less be reimbursable type expenses. There might be a handful that may not, but again, I think with Garfield's oversight, I think we'd be fine, not to worry about misuse anyway, so.
There'd be a requisition request that would have to go through Garfield to get
Right.
approved.
Right, because just so everyone knows, Garfield was tagged as far as the EMA is concerned as the incident command. And then that allows Matt to be the operations chief, and then Matt can continue doing exactly what he's doing, but it gives that informational piece that the EMA was looking for. It gives them a conduit for that, and then, obviously, Garfield more or less acts as kind of like an operations, I don't know what you want to call it. In the Army, we call it like an operations sergeant major. That's basically what he's doing. And then Matt's kind of acting more as like a company command guy out there, on the ground getting things coordinated. So.
What the tests that may be made available for this will be free. The actual testing of the test kits is free. What do we need money for?
He told me just be in case he needed a resource.
If he's gotta get whatever, I guess, respirators for the police or the fire or mask or stuff. Right. Then he wants the ability to do it, which, I mean.
If they stand up another site somewhere.
It came from his work group, so I mean, it's only if it's needed, so there's no reason for us to come here every time and do it. So it may end up being zero.
Well, does he have a cash reserve he can tap into?
I don't have his budget.
I believe that he probably does. I mean, this.
I guess the way I was explaining it was all reimbursable type expenses. I mean, he said there could be a handful of things that aren't, But I said, well, I wanna know what those are, and obviously with Garfield being in the middle of that, it can't proceed, and so, I mean, if he has question on it, then he can come forward and say, look, you know, they got this non-reimbursement.
Doug may not have been aware of the funding request that we already made for the $150,000 to, and we set up the line items through the auditor's
See, well,
office.
then there should be some coordinated communication if they're not.
There should be, and I can tell you that it's not a fault on our side that the communication isn't happening. We've taken really good proactive steps, and I think we just, we've made some, sounds like they're gonna make some corrective measures over there on that side to, better include what's going on with us and what we're up against. There was that part, I mean, he was
But
informed.
in our plan that we adopted, the board adopted, the emergency management plan, it already spells all that out. It's already done in our plan that we adopted. That the emergency manager proposed to us and we adopted last year,
Correct.
so.
And we're trying to make that plan work.
Well, I don't know why, if we adopted, why it isn't working. I mean, that's what I don't understand.
I think again, it's personnel issues on their side, and.
Takes
we're-
two to tango.
Agreed.
So the communication needs to happen.
All the other entities are communicating. It's one individual that's not. So it's getting that individual corrected, and I believe that's happening now to where he can come on board with what's going on with everybody else.
You believe it's happening. The plan, are we gonna redo our plan? The county plan we adopted?
The county plan for as?
Emergencies, yeah.
For emergency health, or are we
No,
talking?
for just
emergency.
overall emergencies for the county.
Well,
Everybody's included in that.
I guess I'm not, I mean, I kind of want to bring the subject back to the money side
Yeah.
of this. I mean, I know we have a plan in place. I think there's been some shortcomings on information flow, and that's part of the reason I asked Garfield to get
Sure.
involved.
Right.
And on top of that, I think, I do think there's some personality issues that are going on that we gotta get through. I
Right.
believe it 100%, and I'm
So
not.
where's this 150 at?
Well, the 150 originally was to help
Already given
Matt
it.
stand up his, personnel that he needed to hire. So
Okay,
that, and there was extra monies in there for other public health related things. I don't think that Doug realized that that asset was available. Now, one thing you gotta understand though, is that public health as a entity within this structure is not emergency management overall. So I think Doug
if
wanted
there's a
something.
declared emergency, it does fall.
He
in that.
falls with
It
under
falls in there,
EMA, but I'm saying
Right,
his
but you-
slice of the pie, he had $150,000 to
Right.
handle that. Doug does not, one thing everyone needs to be really clear of is that Doug's job is to coach. His job is to help facilitate. It is not to run,
Right,
okay? So, right now, Garfield is incident command. He's operations chief. Doug needs to coach, not direct. And there's a big difference in that. And I think this money piece of this is just simply so we can get stuff moving and not have to have meetings and not have to
Right.
worry about,
I agree.
and I think having Garfield's oversight is fine. If he's protecting this money, it's an added layer. We still have to do the same exact claims process that we
Right.
always do. We still have to get emailed to us and say whether or not we approve it. We still have the ability to stop it and say, nope, we
You know,
don't approve.
I wouldn't have any issue with it at all if those funds were under the supervision and direction of our public health department. Right now, they are the lead agency in this pandemic. They are our representative for Potawatomi County. Doug, with the EMA, he represents us and the 13 other cities. So if Potawatomi County is providing any funding at all for any other issue that comes out, it needs to go through our public health department.
Which
Which
it
it is.
is, because now we have
Garfield's in
Garfield
charge.
in charge of that.
When you said Doug may come up with things he needs to spend the money on. it
He
needs
has
be
to go
stay-
through,
It needs to stay right here in our public health
he
department.
can't, Doug cannot source anything unless he goes through DC.
They can't get anything
He's
from,
literally do that.
they can't get any of the assets that the state have or the feds have unless they go through Doug.
That's right, and it's free.
No, it's not free.
Not even close.
Is-
Not even
So
remotely
are you
close.
telling me when the state provides, support and
It
testing
is
and
not, it
stuff
is
to
not free.
Potawatomi County that we have to pay
So-
for it?
Yeah,
Tim,
No, the tests are free, Scott.
no, guys, stop for a second. Here's what's going on. Let's say we have to stand up an additional test site. We say, oh, we need to get a tent set up. Oh, we need to get some tables. We need to get some chairs. State will pay for all these things, but state will not pay for this for another week, and we need to get this going today.
Do we have that set up and ready to go, man?
We
That's
have
what
one
I-
set up.
That's why I used the initial, that's the initial expense out of the funds that I received, the $150,000 was to set up the tent for a testing site and some of the other supplies.
So that's already set up.
I don't have a problem with changing this to allow the 250 or 150 or whatever to public health whatsoever. I mean, I don't have a problem
We just
with
need to
that.
have operational money
I
available.
don't wanna
do
be
what we
coming
do.
back in here, you know, and hopefully a week from today to be over, but, you know, I'm still dealing with a presumptive positive.
The line item, we have, the line items are available. I mean, if the Board of Supervisors wants to allocate more funding into that line item, I mean, we're fine with that.
Okay,
I can tell you that right now, we have been reached out to by several different foundations that are looking to also help us with this as well. So, I mean, there's, so I talked about Iowa West request to hopefully match the initial 150 that I had gotten. That funding request is being submitted today. There's other foundations besides Iowa West that are reaching out to us that will potentially put funding towards this effort as well to buy supplies and, those items. So again, I mean, if you wanna put those funds aside into that account, we're fine with that. And, I mean, obviously Garfield and I, we're gonna be good stewards of what we have, but at the same time, give what we have to ensure the safety of the public as we move through this.
so do we have the 150 already?
Yes, we allocated that 150.
It's went to the treasurer's office already?
From
From
you,
this
you
grant?
appointed it.
No, I understand that, but this grant that you said we got,
No, that got submitted today.
oh, it's just submitted,
It's submitted today.
okay. We know what their process is?
I mean, it was a simple, they simplified the form, this is a one pager, rather than their initial, usually have to do a letter of interest request and all those things, and this was just a simple one pager you send in. So whether we get it or not, I
Yeah.
imagine we'll get something, but
Well, the only thing I do know for sure is that the federal government took their CDC and put them under FEMA. And that's where they operate out of now. And the state took their public health and put it under Homeland Security as part of their operations.
Yeah, and that's how our structure's nested right now. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
So.
That's part of, Doug made
that's-
the request the other day and.
For that communication piece.
Yep.
I
And
believe
I
it's the
think
reason
that's
that-
absolutely perfect, that needs
Right.
to be where it goes.
So,
But if we have a public health department
No, I'm
responsible
just-
for that, that's where it needs to stay.
but fine,
We can't, I don't wanna say, anyway, Doug's responsibility in an emergency, my understanding is to make sure that the assets that the state have are provided to us here.
That's part of his function, you're absolutely right.
So,
But you
those are
can't do it
state
in a
assets
day.
that come to us, and if we can parlay this into some grant money and help us through this, I mean, Matt, do we have anything we need to spend money on right now?
it's been a long day. We have our PPE requested in, and it's, as far as I know, because, that is one of the things we have to rely on, because the request goes in through EMA sends off for the request, and how that comes back to us, we haven't been told yet.
I know they went out and bought, masks already from whatever resources they had them, whether it was Menards or the auto body shops that use them for the paint, the guys that use the paint and went and got it. So the masks, they went and got as many as they can to protect the, first responders, I guess, in that sense.
I guess I'm not looking at this like it's money that's gonna be spent. It's money that's gonna get used and put back. So I don't really see what the issue is whatsoever. I mean, it's not like,
So do we have the name of the account that you set
What's
up?
the need? I can tell you, I would be.
you don't know the
I would
need,
be
that's the
one of
problem. You
I
have to
would
have
be right up
operational
there
money.
in the front line with all of you. We will do everything we can, money-wise, to make sure that we protect our people. but we don't have that right now. I mean,
Are you aware we had a second case today?
yeah,
Are
I
you?
am.
So, I mean, you don't know what's coming tomorrow.
I do not.
So I'm just telling you, in an operational sense, they need to have an operational budget so they can do what they do.
So it's COVID-19 emergency response.
It's the
Okay.
second case in Council Bluffs.
Yeah, well, no,
it's
no,
Another town.
Okay.
And Matt will knock that announcement on the press release, but my point with this is that you need to have operational monies available to do what you need to do. If we need to go rent out some building, we do not have to wait on the state a week for them to go through all their channels to get the money. We need to be able to get the check cut and move on. And
Rent
then
out
we'll
a building-
reimburse ourselves.
Rent out a building for what?
For the citizens.
Maybe
They
we need
need
to
to be
stand up another
quarantined.
hospital. I mean,
They
we
need to be
don't know.
quarantined,
There's an MOU with the city of Council Bluffs right now.
to quarantine people.
Well, I guess if you got it all figured out, then go ahead.
I'm not-
I mean,
The city
it's kinda
don't,
what you're
the city
saying.
don't,
I'm
the
not
city
saying have it
don't
all
have
figured
that,
out,
the city,
Sergeant Schultz. I'm just saying, have you asked the question, do we have a facility ready to go?
well,
Have you asked our-
You're missing the point. It's not about a facility. I'm just telling you there are operational expenses that are gonna come up that we do not wanna have this board come in here, stand up a meeting and meet all the time to approve dollars so Doug can go out and spend stuff. I want someone that's out there on the field that can just make the call for
It
us.
needs to go
and get it
right
done.
there.
well, it's fine.
It doesn't need to go right there. You're missing the boat. You're missing the boat. Our emergency plan that we approved, and this is where Scott was going with this, is that it doesn't start there. He has an asset allocation for his department. He manages those funds. The EOC as a whole needs to have operational money so they can do what they do. We have a check and balance in place, so that way we make sure that money doesn't get
He
spent where
has
it
a
should.
budget. He
Is
has
that
some-
budget for that purpose? Cause
he
I don't
has
know that
some
it
cash-
is.
He has some
I
cash
don't know for
reserve.
emergencies.
No, I don't know if that money's for that purpose.
That's why it's called out.
I don't know. I mean, I don't care if it's $1 million. It doesn't matter. If there's money that's needed, it needs to be available. And I don't wanna have to have this meeting every day and have to have it 24 hours just for us to approve it. That makes no sense. And it's not money that's going to be spent. It's money that's gonna get used and reimbursed. So what is the issue with this? I don't understand that. So if the state says, okay, this cost is gonna be $50,000, we'll get it to you on Friday, but it's Monday and we need it now, then we have the 50,000 available in order for us to accomplish the mission right away, and we reimburse ourselves on Friday when we get the check. That's what this money
It
is.
could happen in the current structure we have with Potawatomi County.
How?
Matt's budget.
No, that's not true. That's budget, has budgeted items that we approve for budgeted items. It's not,
Can
it's
it be
not for all this
reimbursed?
other stuff.
Can it be reimbursed in a week?
Yeah, but still, you're not
It's
supposed
not-
to
that's-
do that.
That like screams all kinds of different violations right there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's, I had a department head saying, you know, that this is needed, and he asked me to put it on the agenda, and here we are.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think it's an issue if it goes into your line item COVID-19 expenditures, is that what it's set up as?
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to put 250 in the COVID-19 expenditures.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Now, let me clarify for finance, is that, you're using the same line item that Matt has?
Yeah.
Okay, another 250
Yep.
into that same line item that Matt has.
Because I don't know where you're gonna put the grant money, if you're gonna keep that separate or what, but
No, it'll go into that line item.
you're not, well, for accountability, it may need to go a subset of that line or something. Because the grant money, we're not gonna get reimbursed on.
Yeah, there's revenues and expenses built out.
Right, but we're not gonna get reimbursement for grant money.
Does anyone from the board want me to call Doug and get him on the phone so we can discuss this any further? Will that help,
Where are you gonna get the money from?
gaming? I mean.
Yeah, I was just gaming, right.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna, I'm, like I
It's
said,
not
I'm
lost money.
optimistic. I
It's
think
not-
next Friday we're gonna be
Right.
down the
All right,
road.
now,
So
part, with the motion.
I'll be making a
down-
motion to take it back from COVID-19 and put it back in the gaming. so.
Yeah.
Is that an additional 250
Yes.
Yes,
So now what
from
person is,
150? Okay.
yeah.
there's
So,
somebody
Mr.
being-
Schultz, you said it's not lost money.
No,
How do you figure that?
how would it be lost?
If it doesn't get reimbursed, it's spent.
He has to approve it if it's going to be not reimbursed, and so if it's not, he's gonna have a discussion with board members. That's why we put him in place there. It's part of the structure of the emergency management plan that we approved. He is in a position that we approved, and this is a position that I don't know, I guess I would just urge you to review that document, understand the contingency plan, and read it a little bit more,
We're calling an
because
emergency meeting
it
tomorrow.
does not fall
Mr.
under
Schultz?
public health director. I'm sorry?
You're not gonna call an emergency meeting tomorrow, are you?
Well, I don't know, if we don't do this, then we might have to. I mean,
So what do you need back for any clarity on that?
So you're putting the 250,000 into that existing line item that
Exactly.
Matt has been the designated,
we're designating,
designee. Does that leave Garfield? Is Matt gonna have to, this is for,
these two are working side by
Yeah,
side,
yeah,
so
they-
the
they work
conversations
straight
are
together.
they will
going to
work
happen.
straight together, but
Yes.
when we get the claims,
6 feet
does
apart,
Matt sign
side by
off on
side.
them?
Both of them.
Garfield or either one?
Both,
Either one?
Both.
Arm
Okay.
length.
Both or either?
both,
So they both have to sign.
both,
I understand both. I
Both.
just wanna make sure you understand.
both. That's two of them.
Okay.
Do you want me to get hold of Doug, so you can
I don't
have,
care if it's either
More
or, but
discussion?
I
both.
don't need to talk to Doug. Matt's got this under control. And
okay, I guess with that, I'd like to call for a roll call, please.
Okay, Chairman Schultz.
Aye.
Supervisors Groby,
Yes.
Wickman,
sure.
Bell.
Aye.
And Drake.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, I guess is there,
Motion to,
yeah, any motion to
Can
adjourn?
I bring up another, maybe I can talk to you offline about our public hearing and the concerns of the state ombudsman's office? Are we gonna use go-to meeting for our budget hearing?
Can we have that, because that's not on the agenda here?
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. I would like to be involved in that conversation too.
Okay,
did you
let's get
see,
together.
did you see what they came down with today then?
I did.
Okay.
Okay. did you
She
make
did
that-
it yesterday, but.
Well, we could set
it
the
wa-
agenda
it wa-
aside.
She didn't announce it till today.
No, it's not critical.
No.
All right.
It's just how we're gonna, and we can do it next week too.
Yeah,
Just a technical.
we got a month.
Yeah. We gotta keep working at it.
What I didn't see is the publication piece of it. Do we have to they didn't address that.
The public hearing?
Have
The
we already
publication
published
of
to have it
Oh, on
March?
31st.
Okay, but they're allowing us to forego that.
If we want to, and I think we can, whether we do it on March 31st or April 30th, I think we're gonna be in the same situation.
Okay.
Well, I do too. We
I need a
still
motion to
know.
adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We are gonna start doing, 7:30 briefing.